needed more and more in our world and in our various cultures and society, because it's a time of such unrest, a time of transformation. Some of that transformation is welcome. Some of that transformation, some of us who are on the inward journey may find really difficult to be with in the wider world. I'm talking in terms of the political sense and the unrest, the social injustice in our communities and our societies, the invisible presence of the virus and how it has transformed the whole way of living our lives, together with our own lived experiences with ourselves, our families, and our communities. Yet I think, for me, I want to bring us back to the essence of a number of speakers and philosophers that have influenced my life and the lens of how I see the world. And I want to start this morning by sharing from who I always call the father of the process, Eugene Gendlin. I want to just share some of his wisdom, and I'm just going to put a quote up here for us. I'm just going to share our screen for each of us here to know that you are something that nobody else is. So each of us this morning, we are something that nobody else is. So you have a living understanding of the world and the universe that nobody else has. That each of us gathered here in our call this morning from our different spaces and for the environments that we are living in, within our families and our communities, we carry that gift of uniqueness into our universe with those whom we love, those whom we work with, and in the very essence of our interaction. And the symbol of that picture very much struck me of how we launch out into our world. And we set out often with all that we contain inside us to interact and be with in the world. So I just really wanted us to bring us back to that space of our uniqueness. And just before I share a few words, I'm just going to invite you to pause and sit with, for a moment, your own breath and your breathing, just taking a few moments with that and your physical body. Just allowing yourself to arrive in the whole of your being. Just giving space to your physical body in your own room and in your own physical environment right now. Just really resting into that space. And even momentarily closing your eyes and allowing that awareness to come inside, down through your throat, chest and tummy, and just getting a sense of how you are freshly in this moment, just as we start. How you are freshly. And I'd like to invite you to sense your uniqueness as a person, your giftedness, as we journey for our time here this morning. Just really that uniqueness of how your lens and your eyes see this world and interact with it. Just pausing with that for a moment. Just allowing that to be and to breathe. Now I would like to go back to some of my original roots as an Irishman. I'm very much from the Celtic tradition. And it's amazing how my body naturally responds to the Celtic tradition. I was sitting over with my elderly neighbour the other day and we were having a cup of tea, and on came some traditional Irish music, and quite naturally and spontaneous, my foot began to tap and my fingers began to move and my body began to react. And lo and behold, my elderly neighbour spontaneously started doing the same. And we looked at each other and we spoke about how when our Celtic music comes on, most Irish people, something changes, something moves, something is stirred inside our bodies. And we seem to automatically respond to the vibes, to the musics, to the sound that has come down through generations of our culture, that has been passed on from generation to generation. Without even consciously realizing it, our bodies do it. And we kind of laughed at each other at the sense of it all in the sitting room. And we had this most philosophical conversation about our Celtic tradition. But it brought me back to how an Irish philosopher, John O'Donoghue, who wrote a beautiful book called Anam Cara, describes the body. And I wanted to really reflect on his words around our body. Your body tells you, if you attend to it, how your life is and whether you are living from your soul or the labyrinths of your negativity. Your body also has a wonderful intelligence. All your movements, indeed everything we do, demands the most refined and detailed cooperation of each of our senses. The human body is the most complex, refined, and harmonious totality. The body is your only home in the universe. It is a very sacred temple. And each part of your body holds the memory of its experience. So each part of your body holds the memory of its own experience. Your body is, in essence, a crowd of different members who work in harmony to make your belonging in this world possible. The soul is not simply within your body, hidden somewhere within its recess. The truth is rather the converse. Your body is in the soul, and the soul suffuses you completely. Therefore, all around you there is a secret and beautiful soul light. Imagine this light all around you, the light of your soul. Then, with your breath, take that light into your body and bring your breath through every area of your body. Our body is one of the most amazing system that is so much beyond our comprehension, and yet it holds all of our lived experiences. And I have come to realize that although I live in these physical structures and I go from building to building, they're only a structure. My home is actually the whole of my body and my being. And the reason why I wished to read that today is I am very conscious that we live in times of unrest. And in preparing for today, I have learned to understand the gift of pausing with compassion for myself, my family, and those whom I interact with in my wider world. I find myself who has a very keen interest and always has had in politics, social justice, fairness, equality, human rights was something. I grew up in a household where both my father and my mother, who has since passed, had great principles and groundedness in those values. I find myself today, from my own lived experience, horrified with often what I see around the injustices and the political unrest in the world. And yet I have found that the gift of pausing with compassion for myself is so, so important at those times. I remember many years ago when the Focusing Institute was in transition and Jean and Mary Hendricks were stepping aside, and there was a lot of upheaval and unrest. And I remember in writing to Jean at those times how I found how people forgot to pause with compassion and often wrote very strong and powerful words that sometimes knocked people for six. And I struggled with it and I wrestled with it. And I remember writing to him, and I remember his reply back to me was, yes, I recognize that, because I immediately move into the space of ranting and raving first, and I forget to pause and notice how I'm holding it. And I felt so reassured because I move into that place so much. I found myself last week ranting and raving in my apartment when I heard the madness of Donald Trump. And I thought, oh my God. And then I realized, no, I need to take a pause, because it really irked me what I was hearing and the injustice and the lies and the blatantness of it all. And pausing is a gift when we are triggered with the stored memories of these times in our lives. And I find myself at a human level that with all of this around us in our world, sometimes it's hard not to doubt, will goodness win out? Will justice be restored? Will equilibrium find its balance? And those of us, I'm struck by Carl Jung's words, those of us that look inwardly and walk that journey are often touched more deeply by these moments of unrest in our world. And in preparing for today, I was struck with bringing that gift of pausing with compassion to those parts of ourselves that are touched, because we live those experiences. We live what we hear on the airwaves of our news. We live those experiences in our work environment. We live those experiences with our family. We live those experiences in our community. And they are stored in the very fiber and marrow of our bones. And they often can become the issues in our tissues of our body. And therefore, the gift of pausing really helps to hold and be with those. So I'm going to invite Isabel to just play a little video that kind of reflects a little bit of what I'm saying, but in a more creative way. So I'm just going to invite Isabel to do that now.
Give me one quick second. I want to make sure that we are sharing this video in the way that it's intended. Okay, here it is. All righty. I have no idea why it's not sharing it now. It's playing on my computer. Wait, hold on. Can you guys hear it?
Hey,
no?
What's wrong, little sister?
I don't want to say
You
it.
hear it? Okay.
Tell me what I did.
No, you can go away. You want good things to happen, but in real life, they never do. Why'd you tell me bedtime stories when you know they won't come true?
Okay. I have a different story tonight before you sleep. It's one I don't tell very often, of the little doubts that creep. I don't know if you ever saw a doubt. In fact, I doubt you did. They're shape-shifting little shadows, and they're more than often hid. They've been around as long as we have, or at least that's what we think. They fester on the fringes and wait for when we're on the brink. Once, in a world we don't remember, but with people just the same, there's a place that's been forgotten so long I can't recall its name. But the land was farmed and fruitful, and the meadows made you smile. The riverbanks were full of flowers where you could sit and rest a while. And the family that farmed them, they were just like you and me. Each day they had their tasks to do, each to their responsibility. And in the evenings they'd have sword fights with the sticks that lined the ground. Then they'd sit and guzzle berries that would ripen and be found. And beside a crackling fire they would tell each other tales. Sometimes stories that were hopeful, and sometimes dark or strange. They looked out for one another, and since they all lived off the land, though the summers bore such bounty, the winters must be planned. But one such wicked winter, there was another plan in store. The icy winds blew colder and for longer than before. The cold earth hugged itself tighter so no horse could pull the plough. They knew they had to sow seeds soon, but none knew when or how. As each day passed, their smiles grew fainter, and the laughter lost its way. There wasn't energy for sword fights with the skies so cold and grey. And as they huddled round the fire, you could hardly hear a peep. And for the first time, you'd see flashes of the little doubts that creep. You could hear them on the whirling winds that whistled through the farm. You could feel them in your stomach, or brush the goosebumps of your arm. You'd hear them giggling in the corners in the darkness of the night. They're the wobble in the voice that claims that things will be all right. Soon conversation started changing to a tone of fear and woe. They wondered, what if nothing ever grows again in our fields of frost and snow? And the little doubts got larger until they no longer hid in holes. They now lived out amongst them, and they slipped into their souls. They could impersonate so perfectly, but there were different words they'd use. And as their grip grew ever tighter, they began to act as they would choose. As the family neared breaking, they were oh so nearly done. Because you see, little doubts can multiply until the farm was overrun. But something miraculous happened. It's why this story can be read. The smallest one, about your age, got up, and this is what she said. She said, "Can't you see what's happening? Can't you see what we've become? No winter winds or frosty fields would make me forget the sun. I know good times are coming back. I know the sun will rise. I know the hard earth soon will soften and plants will bloom before our eyes. I know this can't be forever, so why would we pretend that there's ever been a winter that didn't one day end? There will be colour in the meadows, and the river will unfreeze. But if we're to move beyond this moment, then these fiendish doubts must leave. We need hopeful stories more than ever. We should tell them till we're blue. We should tell them till we look outside and see that they've come true.
What happened to the family? Was she right, the little kid?
The next day, they woke up early and slowly stepped outside. They thought they must be dreaming as each amongst them rubbed their eyes. For now a new world was waiting on the other side of their door. But the sounds, the smells, the colours, they were so much brighter than before. And the doubts that wreaked such havoc, they were now nowhere to be seen. And the fear they'd brought forth with them felt so much just like a dream. Sometimes the world seems scary, and even grown-ups aren't immune, so we depend on you to remind us that things will all be better soon. Little doubts will always be there, even when banished to the deep, but they're nothing to a heart that's feeling hopefulness in heaps. So remember, little sister, take courage with you when you sleep, for tomorrow we might all need it for the little doubts that creep.
You die in the sweat of your blood. Ah!
You'll pay!
You'll pay for the destruction of the world, you monster!
You won't leave this planet with us.
Just invite you for a moment just to be with that. And to
Wonderful.
That was wonderful.
It's really important at these times to pause and hold our hope. It's so, so important. And not only that, but to pause and hold our compassion for each and every one of us. We all have a place inside, no matter what is touched, that we can pause and go inward in a moment to notice what is stirred. It is there in each and every one of us. It is the gift that Jean has left us. It is his legacy that we all carry. It's a legacy that the world needs. And compassion for me is rooted in love, but it is rooted in hope. It holds both. And when it is rooted with the love and the hope, it brings a warmth of empathy that nothing can conquer. I have seen it. I have felt its presence in my life. And this morning, I would like to invite you, as we move shortly into the breakout rooms, to really be with, for you, what maybe has formed or touched or helped your compassion in your life, and how can you hold that compassion, which is the essence of love and hope for each and every one of us. So often we can miss moments where the universe offers us this as well, even without the presence of another. And what I mean by that is, in preparing for today, one of my dearest, in fact, my closest friend 4 or 5 years ago was diagnosed with cancer. We went everywhere together. He and I were great buddies. And within 16 weeks, he had died. He got the most aggressive form of lung cancer. And up to that, he simply presented with a cough. No other symptoms but a cough, and was gone. And I remember after his parting, I was going through a difficult place within myself. And I remember I had to go to a difficult meeting, and my loved ones were gone to a very special occasion in Canada, so I was on my own. And I came out of my house where I was living, and I had 2 window boxes, and I looked at them and I thought to myself, God, they are very dry. I better water them. And this friend of mine was a devil for taking down my window boxes and putting them down on the ground and driving me mad in friendship when he'd call. I'd come to the door and Jesus, he'd have them on the ground. And I'd say, Jimmy, I'll kill you. And I came back out with the jug to water them. And lo and behold, they were on the ground and nobody was around. And I felt this presence of just him. No one can describe it to me, but my body felt his essence around me in that moment. And I put the jug, and something in me remembered at that moment to pause and absorb it. And I paused and absorbed it, his essence, whatever his life energy was after moving on. I felt him, and no one will tell my body otherwise. But I had the choice in that moment to rush into the car or go, or take that choice to pause and be with that. And I had a surreal calmness that came for the rest of the day and carried me through a difficult day in my life. And we need to tune in more and more to this richness that is there. We are here in this world, but our ancestors are only just a touch away. They are still with us. They are not gone. We are surrounded by so much. And it's to really nurture that in our souls. And this morning, I wanted to share the essence and the importance of holding hope in our humanity and knowing that we can pause with compassion and bring that to each other. So I want to invite you in your breakout groups to really be compassionate with each other and be in your space in whatever way fits for you. It is your space, it's your inside place, and it knows what you need. And I'm going to invite, I think, is it Melinda or Isabel to assign us into groups of 3 maybe and let people off to have their quality time. And we'll come back then and we'll have some feedback.
So this is the time where if you will be leaving, then go ahead and leave, because we want to be compassionate as Derek is inviting us to be, and be a witness for someone else or be a companion to someone else. So if you have to leave, now it's the time to go before I assign the rooms. And then once the rooms are assigned, please accept it before you go do something else. Otherwise, it turns into a big mess. So just allowing people to go.
Isabel, how long will we be in the rooms?
It's 20 minutes, so it's anybody else that needs to go. Just want to make sure here. Okay. All right then. Okay. All righty then.
For you,
Hi.
it's you, yes.
I will never look at a window box without thinking of you and that experience and bringing some sense of light and touching. It's so touching. You know, it's just like, it's right to the core. And so I'm sorry about your loss, but the story is inspirational, you know, it's just like.
And absolutely. And this morning I went to my wardrobe and I have a t-shirt on that my friend left for me after me. And I put it on this morning to bring because he very much was in my presence when I was preparing. And I was, will I, won't I say it? And I thought, no, I could feel him around me last week when I was preparing. And I just thought, no, I'm going to say this because that's our humanity. And we all share that with humanity. And I'm sure we all have similar experiences ourselves. But I'm so glad that day I paused to be with it and absorb it and didn't dismiss it. I think that was, and was compassionate with myself around that. So thank you, Liz, for sharing that. And it's great to see you.
Thank you.
People can just unmute themselves. There's no need for anybody to be called. Just unmute yourself.
I just want to maybe say that something that came up in our group, which I think is very important, is self-compassion.
Yeah.
And specifically compassion towards oneself when we feel very overwhelmed.
Yes.
And sometimes it looks like we just can't, I guess, deal with or take in any more information of what's happening. And to turn a compassion towards oneself being in the situation we're in.
Yes, Robert, and thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
I just want to say thank you to June and my group. She mentioned hug yourself when you pause. That's awesome. I appreciate it. And I think that's makes a lot of sense. And Suling, if she has time and there's time, Isabel, she made a beautiful poem that she wrote herself. And I don't know if she has time to share it, but I think it made a difference. It made a difference to me. So if you allow her to read it, that would be great to everyone. I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Thank you for that invitation, Lucy. But that invitation will be received by Suline, and if she wants to share it, she would do so. The space is such that we all bring forward whatever it's called forward from ourselves.
Okay.
I'll say a few words here. I had the good fortune to be on a breakout with someone from India and someone from Taiwan and China. And I just was struck by what you're saying, Derek, about, we have so many divisions and we have so many cultures and we feel so separate sometimes by these divisions, but we really are one underneath. It's that paradox, that what Jean says, we're each unique, we each have something, and we are also one at the same time. And that is so deeply beautiful. If we could only remember that, the world would really be different. I mean really different. So I'm just appreciating that. And you helped bring me to that. I've been that place many times, but you helped me to get there freshly with your presentation and the connection I had on the breakout. So thank you.
And I think that's so important that particularly when we pause and bring that compassion and self-compassion, it changes the quality of our own consciousness with ourselves. I think, and therefore when that changes with ourselves, I believe then it radiates out to those that we live within our family and have our intimate relationships within our world of work and within our community, and it radiates out then. And one never knows the impact of the ripples of that self-compassion, but it somehow changes that consciousness within, and the quality of that within yourself as a person. So thank you, Charles. I think it's, yeah.
I don't think we can have self-compassion that doesn't connect us to others, because it's not, then we're not really separate on that level.
And we then become one body, and we are parts of that whole body that is there. Yeah. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Steph.
Steph.
Hi. Thank you so very much for this incredibly beautiful topic. Over the past number of years, I have really discovered what you just said, is that the more compassion I have for myself, the more I'm able to give others. And I didn't really truly understand the word compassion until I had it for myself.
Yeah.
So this is such a beautiful, beautiful topic, and I'm so grateful to be here. So thank you.
Yeah. And thank you for your sharing, Steph. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Lynn, and I wanted to thank you. Hi.
Hi.
I concur with everyone, what they've said in terms of finding compassion for yourself. Actually, since the pandemic, I have been meditating with a friend every morning at 7:30 to 8 o'clock. So this was perfect. And at the end, it always says, you know, finding that place, that peaceful place within yourself, and then generating it outward. And, you know, as people and as therapists, it's a good reminder, but it's also wonderful to have and take care of you first, in a sense, because, you know, we have to put the oxygen on our own face before we can help anyone else. So this has really been very reinforcing and very touching, and I really thank you. It's really meant a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. Okay, thank you, Lucy and June. We have a very beautiful and wonderful connection in our small group. And I wish to read the poem I read in the group. Okay. The title of the poem is I Pause. Okay. So I pause to awaken from the night of ignorance. I pause to knock off unnecessary burden from my misconception and any speck of doubts about life. I pause to be with the soul without much thinking, searching, and doing. As the sky rests, regardless the hurricane, the storms underneath. I pause to be home. I wrote this during the your guide just now. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you, Derek.
Thank you very much.
I can't hear you.
There, I am. I think a lot of our silence here and pauses is an example, right? Or is what you've been talking to us about. It's like the words, it's hard to get the words because the sense of openness and love are just moving within us here, you know, just flowing. So thank you so very much. Incredible. Yeah.
You're very welcome, Julia, and thank you for sharing that.
Mm.
I just want to say, we're holding you. I see your feeling and we're holding you.
Mm. Oh. I want to add also that when I leave here, I want to turn on some of my Irish music and tap my feet.
Yes. Yeah.
Hi, I wanted to add that music, the Irish music is certainly infectious, there's no question. But I have to tell you that Trader Joe's has terrific music, and I've been dancing in the aisles every time I go there to shop. I've been, it's really the funniest thing is that all of a sudden the music just sort of captures you. So music and dance is so essential. I think it's so important to allow our body to respond in a positive way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe we should have some Irish music as the send off.
Right. Oh, I have plenty here. I can turn it on. Where do you live, Lynn? What
I'm in
Trader
New
Joe's?
Jersey.
Oh,
I'm in New Jersey.
okay. Okay. I go to Trader Joe's in New York.
Oh. That's funny.
Yeah.
You know how they say there are no coincidences, how Derek did talk about the Irish music. And on Saturday, we offered for the first time a program on the power of song. And it opened up inside of me, even though I was sort of bringing it to people. I had an experience, and I shared this with my group, that a certain particular song helped me be more compassionate with myself. Because it really opened up places that were sort of,
tight
and, so it's just really interesting how we're talking about this today, because to me, it's a whole area I want to explore as an offering for folks, because I don't think we're really aware so much how music touches us and how it is another tool to add to our toolbox for healing. So I did want to say that. Yeah.
I wanted to say something.
Oh, you're muted again.
Can you hear me? Yeah. I grew up in India till age 18, and I know all the Bollywood songs of that era. There was a large number of people immigrated to this country at that time. So we are all connected with that music. We're all connected with those songs. In India, people don't talk about feelings very in that articulate manner. Feelings are not expressed that easily. There are so many prescribed ways of playing roles in life that you just have to kind of play those roles. But you can always sing a song that expresses a feeling without really mentioning the feeling, and then the whole group will get into that song. So it's and my mother, when she would cook in the kitchen and she would be singing that, the song was that whenever your heart is hurting, you take your music out and you play the song. So it's yes, music is very, it's a gift that can say a lot without saying, without holding you responsible for that particular feeling. You can just say a lot.
And music is a great medium to actually help you pause and slow down as well. It brings you into another space. It almost naturally builds that in. And music, I find particularly with a lot of teenagers that I work with, particularly in the area of child protection, their music is very, very important for the release sometimes of very stuck places within them. It gives them a way into being with and releasing and allowing the emotions to move.
Mm-hmm.
It's an important medium. Yeah.
I just want to say thank you, Derek, because you brought back great memories, not only with the Irish music, and music is, I agree, awesome. The minute I come home, I don't put the TV on, I put the radio on or Spotify and listen to something. But you brought back great memories of my mother-in-law, Maureen, who did pass from cancer. And I miss her music, and I'm going to pause today and think about how grateful I was to have such an amazing mother-in-law. She taught me a lot, and she taught me about the Irish culture. So thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you, Lucy, for sharing that. Yeah. I think it's very important to say that our ancestors that have gone ahead of us are very, very close indeed. I often feel they're just invisible to us. They have not gone very far. Their imprint is left very much in the earth, but their imprint is left very much intergenerationally in the whole of our beings and our bodies. It fascinates me that often you will see the second or third generation, and the grandchild or the great-grandchild is the absolute spitting image of their granny or their granddad or their uncle. That intergenerationally, our generation lives on in our bodies and in our genes and continues to unfold. And I think sometimes, we need to remember that our ancestors are there to call upon in times of need as well. They're not far from us. And I had a beautiful sharing of people's experience in my group of how their ancestors connected with them as well and still have throughout their lives. And it's having that time to pause and be and really absorb the realness of that and their presence, I think, is really important in our lives. And not to fear being present to that, but to actually welcome it and embrace it. Very conscious of that.
Derek, I want to thank you for mentioning that, because my heart is beating so fast, because when my dad passed, I felt all the good qualities from him enter me. And all the things that I was unhappy with processed out. And I feel that I'm left with all the good things that he brought to my life. So that's such a beautiful thing that you just said. Thank you.
And Derek, I want to,
sorry, go on.
Yeah, I just want to thank you. I felt again the power of whatever is in life and spirit, that I was able to be in your group and helping me through and reminding me of that in loss too, the ancestors are with me, and they're with me anyway, not even just with loss, with joy as well. And the reminders of walking gently through it. So, and the compassion gives us shift. Right? When I have love and compassion, and I can move through resentment or other feelings that are blocking me, then everything shifts. So thanks for the reminders.
I think it's the essence of the compassion, whatever it brings. And I think, you know, I think it's, I'm not sure whether it was Ed or Pete said it, Joe might know a little bit more who's here, is that really what it does when we hold that compassion, it enables us to come to a place inside us where our you know, our feelings become less like unwelcome intruders, but more like honored messengers, that they have something of real value to us. But when we hold it with that essence of compassion, it allows that quality of how we are with all that's inside us is so much different. It's so much more accessible. I think, I think our world needs that. Ourselves, starting with ourselves, because I think it all starts with the self, and then in the connection with our families and our loved ones. And today being Labor Day in America, and families maybe gathering and people together, the essence of the love and hope that families hold, and then it spreads out and it radiates from there, but it starts from that inside place, from that authentic place within us. And we need to talk about love and hope more as well. Sometimes we're shy to talk about it and use particularly that word love today, but I think it's really important to embrace it and share it and own it in our world as well.
As I'm listening to you today, Derek, I'm just continually filled with the power of transformation. That's what's coming through to me, that it's not just this big transformation. Like I grew up being saved in fundamentalism, like this big transformation image that I had that life was about, as opposed to it's every moment. And that gives me hope, because when I go to the dark place, I know around the corner I can have the hope back. And I was just thinking about my mother as, you know, one of my people that I go either way. It's like when you said they can be an intruder or they can be a welcome guest. And, you know, I struggle so much with the line of the fundamentalist going through my life. And I thought of music. And one of the things that surprises me that I actually love when a Christian hymn comes to me, like A Mighty Fortress Is Our God, or this is hymns that just flow into me, and I don't reject them. I do embrace them. And that helps me transform. So just, you reminded me of that possibility.
I just couldn't let this moment go without saying that when we talk about compassion, that Derek actually embodies it. He's part of our team, our organization, and he's going to be heading up a whole program on children. And he's actually volunteering now and working with child protection workers for children that have been abused in Pakistan. So he walks the talk, and I just really want to acknowledge Derek.
Thank you, Melinda. Thank you.
Can you say more, Melinda, about the program that Derek is going to be leading, in case anyone else is interested in participating?
Like you, Isabel, when you say we shouldn't speak for other people, Derek can speak for himself.
Thanks for the reminder.
No, we are working tirelessly behind the scenes with Ali and Wajid through FFI around looking at how to create a safer world for practitioners working with children within their culture, because of the level of abuse and lack of proper structures within child protection services. And we're in the middle of compiling our course that will offer a little bit of theory, but also offer the inside place and the pausing as a skill for practitioners to connect with the children and their, you know, in their work, but also for themselves as a practitioner. So it's work in progress, and we've had quite a degree of interest within Pakistan itself. So,
and we envision this as going to be a template for other places around the world.
And this afternoon, I'm meeting with people in Beirut around the trauma of the bomb and the bombing recently that went on, to see how we can support them with Cathy and a number of others that are working within FII as well. So it's all around, I suppose, trying to create an awareness that's really, the safer the world is for our children, the better outcome it is for them within their lives. And we all know that, and that comes from our own lived experiences as well. So a little snippet.
I see somebody asked for the name of the group, so I'll reply.
And the other thing I think to remember at this challenging time is, I think the one thing that's become predictable about life more so than ever before is its unpredictability. I don't know in your countries or where you're living, but I know with the presence of the virus, every day it's almost unpredictable, because we've numbers coming out of the figures every day and what that means in different parts of the country, and Ireland shut down and open up or back into restrictions. And also in those challenges as well, it's really important to pause and have that compassion with ourselves, and managing that risk that's out there in the world, that invisible risk of the presence of the virus as well. So I think it's really important to be with ourselves in that way too, because this is going to be part and parcel of our life, I think, for quite a period of time ahead. In fact, I think maybe the West has forgotten how to live with pandemics compared to the rest of the world, maybe Asia and Africa and across. I think maybe there's an awakening in a different way in our societies that maybe has got lost. So, and it's important to be with ourselves in that way as well. So it's been I haven't even thought it. I never even looked at the time. It's been a privilege to be here today with each and every one of you. And invite us all to hold our hope moving forward, and to bring our own compassion with love and warmth for all of those in the days and weeks ahead. And once again, I'd like to thank Isabel and Lynn for inviting me to be here. It's wonderful to be here again today and journey together with each and every one of you, and to wish you every blessing in the week ahead. And enjoy Labor Day, those of you that are off today. Enjoy your holiday and your family and your visitors. That's important too. And a big, big Irish slán leat.
Thank you. This was lovely. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you all.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thanks, everyone.
Derek. Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah.
Enjoy your day too.
Thank you so much, Derek.
Have a blessed day, everyone. Be safe.
Fantastic.
Be safe,
Bye.
be thriving, be musical.
Musical.
Derek, I'll see you in a little bit.
Yeah, but is it 4 o'clock? It is 4, isn't it?
So, yes.
I am leaving and closing out the room. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thanks, Isabel.
Bye.